Shalom Aleichem. We're going further a little bit into the ways of the Tzaddikim, Orchos Tzaddikim. So let's continue on. Here we go. So, Chamisha Orchos Yesh Ba'adam. There are 5 powers. The person has 5 powers. Chamisha Orchos Yesh Ba'adam. Ho'echad hu koach hashmiya. The first is the power of hearing. Hasheni hu koach haru'us. The second one is the power of sight, of seeing things. Hashalishi hu koach hareach. The third is the koach, the power of smell, of smelling. Horavi'i hu koach hatam. The fourth one is the power of taste. Hachamishi hu koach hamishush. The fifth one is the power of feeling something. One can feel around with one's hands and feet. She'adam margish shehu mimashesh dover. That a person feels that he is feeling something. Chameshes hakochos ho'ela heim konalim kol ma'asei ha'adam. These 5 powers include all of the ways of the person. So, okay, the fifth, that of touch, whereby a man senses that he is feeling something. These 5 facilities encompass all of a man's acts, and no act can be performed without one of them. She'adam margish shehu mimashesh davar. That's the koach of feeling something, is that somebody feels that he is feeling around for something. Chameshes hakochos ha'ela, these 5 different powers, heim kol olim, kol ma'asei ha'adam, they encompass all of the acts of the man. Ve'ein pe'ula na'asit below echad mechameshes ha'ela, and a person, no action can be done without one of these 5 powers, hakochos, of these powers. V'halev hu hapoel al yedehem. The 5 facilities transmitting all things to the heart. So everything is transmitted to the heart. The understanding. V'halev hu hapoel al yedehem. Ki chamisha kochos ho'elu. These 5 powers mivim lalev kol inyan v'kol ma'aseh. They bring to the heart all of the ma'aseh, all of the acts. Everything is transmitted to the heart. V'yamachashava nimsheches achareihem, and then the thought is drawn after them. After halev, so in other words, after the different powers of sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, which is brought to the heart, which is transmitted to the heart, and then the machshava, the thought, nimsheches achareihem, and then the thought goes after them, and the thoughts following upon them. Halev yeshbo deos rabos. The lave, the heart, there are many kind of temperaments to the lave, to the heart. Kegon, for instance, hagava, somebody that's very boastful, prideful. He has that kind of heart, viho'anava, or somebody that's very modest, hazikaron v'hashichacha, that's somebody that's very remembers a lot, v'hashichacha, somebody that's forgetful, hayagon v'hasimcha, somebody that's sad, hayagon is sad, v'hasimcha, somebody that's simcha is joyful, Habusha, somebody that's very shameful, very modest. Azus, somebody that's very out there. Azus means like he's let's see, sorrow and joy, shame and arrogance. So azus is arrogance. Azus would be arrogance. So there are many types of temperaments to the heart, to a person's heart. There are different types of people that all different temperaments. And there are many other different conditions like this. And all of these different temperaments, mischazkos, are strengthened, mechameshes akochos, are strengthened from these, and are interact, and they're influenced by these 5 kochos, these 5 powers. Ki hasuma lo yuchal lehiskaos ki ilo haya roeh, because somebody that is, God forbid, blind would not be able to be prideful as if he were somebody that was able to see. So, in other words, so the fact of sight, that has a profound influence on the person. A blind person, God forbid, would not be able to have gaios, pride, as if he were somebody that is able to see with God's help. Lachein, therefore, kol adam hanilvav yishtadel b'kol kocho lihagia el hatachlis asher yuchal lahagia v'lahasig min hama'alos. Therefore, every man of heart must strive with all of his facilities to reach the ultimate that he can achieve of the higher qualities, and he must employ his 5 facilities and the abundance of his thoughts and traits only in that which must result in loving kindness and good deeds, this being the ultimate good. So in other words, we have to harness everything with the help of Hashem and with a lot of diligence, in order to bring us to the ultimate good, which is chesed, loving kindness, and good deeds. So, a blind person would not be able to be prideful as if he were a sighted person. Therefore, kol adam hanilvav, every person of heart, yishtadel b'kol chocho, should try with all of his heart, lehagia el hatachlis, should go to the purpose, asher yuchal lehagia, that he would be able to reach, ulahasig min hama'alos, and he to reach those ma'alos, those good points. V'al yishtamesh b'chameshes kochosav uvrov deosav umidosav ela b'davar shehu sorich lihiyos noda bechesed of Maasim Tovim. So he must employ his 5 facilities and the abundance of his thoughts and traits only in that which must result in loving kindness and chesed and good deeds and Maasim Tovim. This being the ultimate good. So we have the ultimate good, which is loving kindness and good deeds. So that if a man has attained the level of good, he should always desire to ascend to yet a higher level until he attains the ultimate good, whereby he may attain the world of reward, the world to come. The main thing is one should try to attain what he needs to, lihiyos nodab, which is it's bechesed, that he should be known, or whether he's known or not, that he should do chesed, good for other people, v'maasim tovim, and good deeds. loving kindness and good deeds. V'zehu tachlis hatova. This is the greatest attainment. This is what one should strive for. She'im higia adam lama'ala tova. And if somebody comes to a good attainment of good trait, liolam yachmod la'alos el ma'alo shehu lama'alo mizos ha'ma'alo. He should always strive and want to rise up to another level, which is even a greater level than what he is at right now. Let's say he attained a certain amount of chesed and Maasim Tovim. He should try to go to the next level of chesed and Maasim Tovim, of loving kindness and good deeds. Until he comes to the great end, the great attainment, which one is striving for. Then this which one can then reach the world of Gemul, of the world of being paying back. In other words, one will get the reward. So if man has attained a level of good, he should always desire to ascend to yet a higher level until he attains the ultimate world, the ultimate good, whereby he may attain the world of reward, the world to come. That's the world of reward. One is not paid back in this world. One is not given schar for a mitzvah in this world. One is one is paid in the next world. Okay. The one will come to the world where one is paid, which is the world to come. And we have, and it's taught to us that David had a desire to reach the good of Olam Haba B'Yomro when he said, Mo Rav Tuvacha Asher Tzofanta L'Reyecha. What is the good that you have hidden away for those that fear you? For those that fear you. King David longed for the attainment of the good of the world to come. When he said to Tehillim in Psalms 31:20, how abundant is your goodness that you have stored away for those who fear you. How abundant is your goodness that you have stored away for those that fear you. So David HaMelech was yearning to see the good, that more Rav, how abundant Tuvacha is your goodness, Asher Tzofanta L'Reyecha, that you have stored up for those that fear you. Tehillim Lamed Aleph Chaf V'Yomer, and it says, Yirbiun Mideshen Beisecha V'Nachal Adonecha Sashkem Sham Lamed Vav. It says over there in Tehillim, that's Parak 36, chapter 36, Pasuk Tes. And so this is what he says, David HaMelech. They will be sated with the fatness of your house. They will be sated. They will have satisfaction with the fatness of your house, with the goodness of the house, of Hashem's house, and you will make them drink of the river of your pleasures, of the great Olam HaRuchni, the great spiritual pleasure. And so if people, Yomer, it says, Yirbiun Mideshen Beisechol V'Nachal Adonecho Sashkem. They will be sated with the fatness of your house, and you will make them drink of the river of your pleasures. And this level will be reached only by one worthy of it, as it is written. So one should try to be worthy of it. You try a little bit, then a little more, and a little more, till one does what one can. And this Maila, this attainment, will not be reached those that are fitting for it. So we have to strive to always try to be fitting for it. Kemosha Amar, like it says, Mi Yogor B'Yoholecha, Mi Yishkon B'Har Kochecha, Holech Tomim Afoil Emes. That's Shosham, that's over there in Tehillim. So that's, who will abide in your tent? Who will abide in Hashem's tent? Who will dwell in your holy mountain? He who walks in innocence and works righteousness. So one should try to walk in innocence, tamimus, with faith in Hashem, with whatever one can. You work at it, we work at it, and works righteousness, and the rest of the matter which is written there. This Maila, this attainment will not be reached. Those that are fitting for it. Kemosha Amar, as it says, Mi Yogor B'Oholecha, who will dwell in your tent, in the tent of the righteous of Hashem. Mi Yishkon B'Har Kochecha, who will dwell in the holy mountain, Holech Tomim, those that go Tomim in an innocent and a pure way. One keeps on going, trying more and more, till one goes to a pure way, Poel Tzedek, and then who does righteousness. So in other words, one has to work, use that Tamimistic, one has to use that Tamimistic, the righteousness, and Poel Tzedek, one has to do Tzedek, do righteousness. In other words, it has to be brought into the Poel, into the action. Sham Tes Vav Aleph Beis. V'sha'ar inyon shene'emar sham. All of the rest of the inyan of the topic that is said over there. The Kaven shehiz karno yisro ma'alos ha'adam roi lono levo'er chashivuso ugnuso. And now that we have mentioned man's superior state, it befits us to explain his ennoblement and his abasement, his good and his evil, until there emerges before the man of intelligence the straight road by which he is able to reach the great king's court, so that his soul will choose in all of its might the best and the most select in every trait. In other words, one sees what is one before one, and one tries to select the best traits, not to be to have gaiva, not to have overly prideful, or not to be overly boastful, to try to help people. So one has to strive for the best traits, so that his soul will choose in all of its might the best and the most select in every trait, and he will cast aside the husk and take the grain. So he will cast aside bad things and take the good things, the good milos. Since we have mentioned here the good things of the milos ha'adam, of the greatness of man. Roy Lono, it's fitting for us to say levair, to explain right now chashivuso uganuso, to explain the importance of it, his importance, and also the parts that are not so good. So in other words, there's pluses and minuses. Tovaso, the good part, vira'aso, and the bad part. Ad sheyihyeh lifnei hamaskil, until it will be in front of the person that understands, the person of understanding, derech yasher, the right way. The person who understands will know that there's a right way. Sheyachol lehagia lechatzar hamelech hagadol, that one will be able to reach the courtyard of the great King of Hashem. Ki tivchar nafsho b'chol kolchov mikol midah hatov v'haborur, because his soul, his nefesh, his animation, what drives him, will go and try and choose with all of his heart, all of the midah hatov v'haborur, every good trait that he can, and v'yizro kapasolas v'yikach asolas ketzad. So he will v'yizro kapasolas. He will choose every good thing that he can, every good midah that he can, and try to act that way. V'yizro kapasolas, and he will throw out the bad traits, whatever he can throw out. He throws out v'yikach asolas. He will throw out the waste. Yizro kapsolas, throw out the waste, literally. Yikach hasolas, and he will take the fine flour, the good. Solas is flour, fine flour. Ketzad. So, Ketzad, how is this possible? Yesh adam shehu ba'al chayma v'koish tamid. There are certain people that are very angry all the time, angry. Things happen to them and they're angry. There are some people that they're very even-handed, cool, and they never become angry at all. They never become angry. If, let's say, they do become angry, he will be angry. Kas ma'at bekama shanim. Kas ma'at, so a little bit of anger bekama shanim in many years. So in other words, that's the way he acts. That's what's in his heart. That's his nature. That is his nature. V'yesh adam shehu gova leiv b'yotzer, somebody that's very, very arrogant, or that he is, if it is only negligible over a period of many years, it becomes angry. One man is exceedingly proud, and another exceedingly humble. One man is lustful, his lust never being sated, and another exceedingly pure-hearted, not desiring even the few things that the body needs. One man is expansive of temperament, unsatisfied with all the wealth in the world, as it is written, Koheles 5:9. He who loves silver will not be sated with silver. And another is of constricted spirit, for whom even a trifle suffices, and he does not rush to obtain all of his needs. One man afflicts himself with hunger and goes begging, consuming not even a penny's worth of his own without dire distress, and another is wantonly extravagant with his money, and along the same lines, the other traits are found, such as cheerfulness and depression, stinginess and generosity, cruelty and mercy, cowardliness and courage, and the like. In other words, the Baal Orchos Tzaddikim is telling us that everyone has their own temperament about pridefulness and anger and being satisfied with one has, or never satisfied, God forbid, or wanting money, or not needing money, everything. We'll look at the English at the moment. Among these traits, there are those possessed by a man from the beginning of his creation, according to his bodily nature, and there are those toward which one's nature is inclined. In other words, he has an inclination to this, and which he is apt to adopt more than others. And there are those traits which one does not possess from birth, but which he learns from others, or to which he grows inclined because of some thought that has arisen in his heart. He had a thought, and he decided, yes, this is the way I want to be. I want to be not proudful. I want to do good. And then he has an epiphany. This is what he wants. So he has grown inclined because of some thought. that has arisen in his heart, or it may be what he found. It may be that he found a certain trait to be of value to him and worthy of pursuit, so that he practiced it until it became implanted in his heart. There is a trait which must be exhibited often, and there is a trait which must be exhibited sparingly. This is analogous to one's cooking on a dish, and needing vegetables and meat, water, salt, and pepper. He must use all of these ingredients by measure. A little of one, a lot of the other. A little of one, a lot of the other. If he is sparing of meat, the dish will be too thin. If he is over generous with salt, it will be too salty to eat. The same applies to all the other ingredients. If he uses little where much is needed, and much where little is needed, and the dish will be spoiled. But the expert who takes the right measure of each ingredient will produce a dish that is pleasant and tasty to those who eat it. The same is true of character traits. There are those who must be adopted in a large measure, such as humility, shame, and the like, and those which must be adopted only sparingly, such as pride, audacity, and harshness. Therefore, a man must weigh all of his traits on the balanced scale of understanding to use each trait in its proper amount. He must be careful not to hold back on those traits which he requires in large measure, and not to use too much of those which he requires in a small measure. In other words, sometimes you need to be a little bit prideful. You can't let yourself be pushed around or whatever. One has to stand up for one's rights, or for other people's rights. So one has to be proud in a certain way. But so that's a little bit that you need to use. In this way, he will attain the ultimate good. It will show this. And we'll go on the Hebrew a little bit. Let's see where we went with the Ivrit. Somebody there are some people that are very prideful, some people are very low in spirit. In other words, they're very modest. Some people have a lot of tava, have a lot of desires. He will not be satisfied from going through with the taiva. In other words, he has a lot, and that's his inclination that's implanted in him. So he has to fight that. He or she has to fight that. There are some that are very pure of heart, and they will not desire even the small things that the body needs. They don't have a desire for that. V'yesh bal nefesh rechava. There's somebody that needs a lot. Lo tisba nafsho mikol mamot shebaolam. He needs a lot of money. V'yesh bal nefesh rechava. V'lo tisba nafsho mikol mamot shebaolam. He won't be satisfied with all the money in the world. Like it says, Ohev kesef lo yisba kesef. Somebody that loves silver will not be satisfied with silver. Ohev kesef lo yisba kesef. Somebody that loves silver will not be satisfied with silver. That's in Koheles. Hey, test. That's in Ecclesiastes. Koheles. Hey, that's the 5th chapter. Test the 9th pasuk. There's somebody that's very non-needy at all. It's okay for him, even some little thing that comes his way, it's okay for him. And he will not run to get all of his needs. He will not pursue to get all of his what he needs. Somebody that is okay with hunger. He puts a lot of hunger upon himself. Because he's a stingy person, he doesn't eat. And he wants to keep it in his hand. He doesn't eat, he doesn't use a pruta, even a pruta, a penny from his own to buy some food for his hunger, because he's a kamtzin, he's a miserly person. With a lot of tsar, then he'll take a little bit of money to buy something. And there's some people that just throw their money away, they lose their money. In other words, they don't care. It's like a spendthrift. He doesn't care. He sees this thing, he wants to buy it, and he doesn't care about saving any money at all. And according to these ways, Shar Hadeos, all of the different types of temperaments, Gegon Mehulol, Beonein, Bechilai, Beshoa, and along these same lines, the other traits are found, such as cheerfulness and depression, stinginess and generosity, cruelty and mercy, cowardliness and courage, and the like. That's the cruelty. Somebody that's very merciful. Rachlevav, somebody that is cowardliness, and courage.